We will draw this city closer together. We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. If our campaign demonstrated that the people of New York yearn for solidarity, then let this government foster it.
All right, before we begin, it's very important to define what words actually mean. This was posted in the Smithsonian Museum, and they consider whiteness to be a problem, and they want to abolish whiteness. And so they too have to define what whiteness is. And the first aspect of whiteness, according to Dub, is rugged individualism, where the individual is the primary unit, self-reliance, independence, autonomy, high valued and reward. Individual is assumed to be in control of their environment. In other words, you get what you deserve. And then you have the family structure, which is a father, mother, 2, 3 children. The husband is the breadwinner and head of the household. The wife is the homeowner and subordinated to the husband. And children should have their own rooms and be independent, right? Now, let me put this mumbo jumbo into a way that most people can understand. Basically, in the West, there is this predominant ideology that when a child is at the age of 16, he should already start to choose his own career. And the parents mostly respect that. So you'll have the kid that wants to become a coder, or he wants to become an engineer, he wants to become a lawyer. Obviously, like, the parents can influence the decision, but most of the time, in most families, if they can afford it, the child actually gets to have his own path. And then he leaves the house that he grew up in. He gets an education. He's supposed to get a job. And after that, he's supposed to get his own place and make his own family. So pretty much when the kid is 18, he's supposed to fuck off, right? Like, stop being a parasite. Stop leeching off your parents. There is even an insult that exists mostly in individual countries and don't exist in collectivist countries. And that is, you're still stuck in your mother's basement. In other words, it's considered shameful after a certain age to still be stuck in your mother. Now, again, this is part of these rugged individualist nations. The alternative to that, you can find in India. Their definition of family is actually extended. Like, for them, a family means cousins, second cousins, the people that they married with. They don't view a family as the mother, the father, and the children. No, they view it as every single extension related by blood. And they also live together. Like, in most of these cases, you will see, especially in India, households where 15 or 20 people live in. And the idea of a kid getting an education and then leaving, that is the shameful thing. That is their equivalent of being stuck in their mother's basement, because that kid is being viewed as abandoning the family. And you also have this concept that if an individual does something bad, it doesn't reflect bad on him. It reflects bad on his family. The izzat, for instance, right? This is a collectivist notion. So if you go out and you make an ass of yourself, or you allow others to demean you, your entire family suffers. And also your entire family is now obligated in order to go out and defend the honor, to defend the izzat. But suffice to say that both of these ways of thinking and social interactions are legit. Like, you can have a nation that's collectivist, that's like family-oriented, clan-based, if you will. Or you can have a nation that's more rugged individual, the atomized individual. And of course, both of these systems come up with advantages and disadvantages. The advantage of a Western country is that if you have a lot of people that are rugged individuals, like they're able to take care of themselves, they're able to think for themselves, you end up with a society of very strong men. Like, you know, the strong patriarchs that are capable of taking care of their family. They are less likely to be bewildered or bamboozled. They're less likely to be conned. And the government has very little control of them because they have their own resources. They can make their own shit. Meanwhile, in a collectivist society, well, you have people that feel belonged. They feel more emotionally well because they're surrounded by family. They're surrounded by other people that take care of them when they fall. Now, Obviously, in 2025, you don't have like any of these quote unquote perfect systems. Like even India is not the way that I described it anymore. And even in the West, you don't have these rugged individuals anymore. And you have like some sort of mixed systems. Like they lean more to one way or another. If you go in a rural area in America, it's obviously more collectivist. Like families are still there. They're still tight-knit communities. While if you go in an urban area, it's more towards the rugged individualism. But here's the problem. This is what the mayor of New York is doing and why it's, in my opinion, incredibly damaging. These systems that I've talked about, they have been created because of religion and tradition. So, in other words, people that grew up in a large household, they want to have large households themselves. Like, that's the way they envision things. And they also know what works and what doesn't. Not necessarily like a scientist knows what works and what doesn't, but like someone that actually experienced it. Meanwhile, what the mayor of New York wants is to brute force a system that is collectivist, but is not the type of collectivism that we discussed about. It's not the type of collectivism that you have in India or in Asia. He wants the collectivism of the state. He wants the government to be able to decide. And the problem with this is that in a collectivism where you have like the family first, well, the family is actually created by genetic ties. And as I mentioned before, tradition, religion. And so people have a certain attitude of care towards one another. Like, sure, you can have like some backstabbing going on, like the cousin may hate you or something like that. But it's definitely not the coldness of an institution that views you as a percentages on a sheet of paper. Like it's just complete cold bureaucracy. And also, the institution is also more likely to steal from you. The family can steal from you as well, but it's usually the exception rather than the norm, right? Like the institution is usually built to grift. And so what the mayor of New York basically wants is to say there are no more hobbies. It's our hobbies. There are no more children. It's our children. And so we saw how progressive ideology has manifested over this last decade and a half. If you have a kid that goes to school and the kid is 6 and maybe it's a tomboy or maybe it's a boy that plays with dollies, well, they will want to crack that egg. Like you have teachers on TikTok that brag about cracking the egg and they're going to try to persuade the kid. It's like, are you sure you're not stuck in the wrong body? You're not transitioning? And when the kid goes like, yeah, maybe I am transitioning, they hide that from the parent. And in some extreme cases, they would even say that if the parents are getting a divorce, the parent that's actually in favor of the transitioning should get the kid, right? Because it's not your kid. It's not the parent's kid. It's our kid. It's collectivism. Like we're all in this together. The thing with the hobbies, right? It's not your hobby. It's our hobby. It's not your community. It's our community. And so the government is allowed to then push for regulation. You end up with knitting communities that are on Reddit and they constantly talk against Donald Trump, the wall, and immigrants. They want to suffocate society with our, not yours. And of course, when it comes to businesses, it's not your business, it's our business. We get to regulate. Like environmentalism is a collective ideology. Environmentalism declared war on carbon. Everything human touches, everything human produces, even when you flip over a light switch, emits carbon. And if you control the carbon, you can control the human activity. So it's not your business, it's ours. And they usually make this argument. If you don't want the government to regulate your gas stove or your business, they will say, oh, so you think it's okay for a power plant to dump nuclear waste in the river? They will take like the most extreme case where, yes, some regulation is required, and then extrapolate that to every single human activity that you do should be regulated by the government. Again, including the media you consume. And so this is why it's dangerous what he is doing, is because the previous systems, like the collectivism we talked about, where you have large families and you have the Izzat, I don't like that system. I'm going to be honest. I think living in that system is hell. But that is a system that was still created over decades and centuries of people living together, and you have the warmth of the family. The type of collectivism that these people want is obedience to the state, obedience to the foreign, obedience to the stranger. Like just because I happen to live in a neighborhood with someone else, and I'm talking as an individualist myself. Like, I do believe in this rugged individualism has the ability to create better societies. I can cooperate with my neighbor on things of mutual interest, right? And I can talk to him in order to make sure that we don't inconvenience each other. But the idea that I would be financially responsible for, like, my neighbor's business, or like if he has a bad time, that I'm supposed to go and give money to him if I don't like him. Like, no, if my neighbor actually is a person that created the relationship with me, and it's both on positive respect and whatnot, sure, if he has problems, I'll help him out. But at the end of the day, I will always prioritize myself and my family first and foremost. And secondly, if I don't like my neighbor, I don't feel that I should give him money. Well, this leftist collectivism disagrees. This leftist collectivism thinks that when I go to work, I should be taxed as much as humanly possible. Preferably, I shouldn't be able to own my own business, right? Like, only the businesses that are grifting with the government or are associated with the government should exist. And then with the little money that I have, I should only be able to buy what the government wants. And the money that they take, they're the ones redistributing the wealth and, giving it to my neighbor. So, like, let's say if I choose to have 3 kids, I made the wrong choice, right? Because my neighbor who has no kids, he's got more money than me now, and the government will take care of him when he is old. Like, he doesn't need kids to take care of him, right? It's my money that goes to him. And so, if the system that the New York mayor is suggesting happens to be so good and forward-thinking, why didn't the other people in history try to apply it? And the answer is they did. we have the Soviet Union. They had the exact same mentality. They call it hominus sovieticus, the Sovietic man, right? Which is built different. He's built to cooperate. He's built for solidarity. You had fascist Italy, which did very amazing during World War II. Like, they had some of the strongest fighters. And other similar nations. And the question is, like, well, why do they fail? Well, they start failing the moment you see what's going on right now in the United States, right? Where you have daycare centers that were stealing money from the government. So you end up with a family of working class people that are paying taxes more than they should, and they notice where their taxpayer money is going. And so they start thinking, okay, well, if I work, I'm an idiot. If I grift, I'm smart. Seriously, like, they start looking at those people that are grifting, they're putting minimum effort, they're gaming the system, and these people are rich, they're wealthy. Meanwhile, they're the ones that do the back-breaking labor, and they end up with their money being taken away. So, I'm not saying that the system is good or bad. I'm saying that if you live in such a system, you need to start learning how to steal from the government. Like, you need to have a friend that's a friend with the New York mayor's second cousin, so you can have a quote-unquote in. You need to see how other people grift, so you can learn how to grift as well. Like, how can you start your own daycare center? How you can make connections and relations with the people at the top, or, the people that work for the people at the top. And then start to make money. And when a lot of people start thinking like this, when a lot of people begin to operate like this, you end up with a failed economy. But you see this in many nations that should be incredibly wealthy, but aren't. For instance, Mexico, Brazil, so on and so forth, right? Like, it's the exact same mentality. Eastern Europe. At the end of the day, this is what happens when people are high on their ideology. Like, they genuinely believe that if a politician signs a piece of paper and they force a legislation, then everyone complies because they're good citizens. The reality is there is this thing called legitimacy, right? And legitimacy is, why do we put up with their shit? And the moment you don't have legitimacy, it doesn't mean that people rise up, that you have the chimp out. No, you have the malicious compliance. And you're going to have people that be like, okay, well, if the government isn't legitimate, then I don't have any honor or duty or obligations to it. I need to make sure that the government doesn't punish me, but at the same time, I need to make sure that my family is number one. Because that is human nature. Like, that is something that most people, regardless of culture, understand at intuitive level. So, yeah, you're going to end up with more daycare centers. Enjoy. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.